You all, we are not licensed professionals. You know, we are just here on this roller coaster called life, trying to be better friends to one another, trying to be better human beings on this planet. If you're tuning in, we are not opting out of therapy. We are not advocating that you listen to us and not see someone who is licensed and trained to help you with day-to-day life on how to cope and deal. So we advocate for therapy a lot here. We believe that everyone has something to talk to somebody about. So, just like to make that disclaimer that we're just here giving our opinions and having discussions week by week. And we're hoping that, you know, maybe you can find something useful, or if at least find a little humor in this terrible, terrible rock we call the world.
In other words, if you listen to our advice and you get popped in the mouth, don't at us.
Yeah, don't at me because you may get popped in the mouth again. And welcome back to the Friendship University, you know, the podcast where we discuss how to create, maintain, and develop friendships, relationships, communication, just overall connections with one another, because people are our greatest resource. As you all know, I am Kristen, and our favorite guy is back this week from the
Pits of Hell.
Sick and Shut-In list.
The Pits of Hell.
Mickey.
I'm
it's
back. I am here in this chair yet again, on the other side of this room. Yes, I am back from my excursion with, I don't actually fucking know how to explain it. Food poisoning.
Yeah,
and we'll leave it at
the best
that.
Word. Yeah. I
lack of a
swear
better
you
term.
stay getting sick.
Do I stay getting sick? I feel like I stay getting injured more than sick.
That's a combination of everything.
I just stay like on the brink of death. No wonder I'm so
Yeah.
anxious all the time. But no, feeling a lot better. Thank you for, releasing the shackles last week, Massa.
I didn't have a choice. What was I supposed to do?
You didn't have a choice. Okay, you would have had me on the microphone. Okay, like I said, I am out here in my shackles yet again. I did listen to last week's episode. You're such a natural by yourself. I'm very proud of you for picking up the mic and giving the people what they want.
Interesting. Thank you.
Now I know that eventually, maybe one day I'll escape and you'll be just fine without me.
Wow.
I'm kidding. Unless
do
we
you
start
want to
making
get the boot?
Unless we start making
See, no,
millions
you
of
can't do
dollars.
that, because if you leave and then I start making a bit bucks, you can't circle the block. I'm not opening the door.
I will be getting my royalties on my episodes.
No circling the block.
I have at least 1 year of
and
royalties.
I'll make sure those episodes never get residuals. They could do that, you know.
Listen,
I will
snatch the $1.22 we have off of Spotify podcast right now. Play with me.
Big bank jank.
Okay, but yeah, no, we're back. We're back together here on another episode of the Friendship University podcast. The FUP, not the FUPA, the FUP, the FUP podcast.
What's FUP?
What's FUP?
I like that.
What the FUP's up?
What the FUP's up?
There it is. So there's our new tagline, I guess. So,
Yep.
What the FUP's up with you?
That was immediate. I love it. Okay, that was funny, and so I hate to take a turn into something less funny, but I'm just gonna do this really quickly. I'll talk about my weekend a little bit, but just starting off today, I actually found out that one of my exes from high school passed away.
Oh.
I'm not sure how. Some people reached out. Just an overall amazing guy. So my condolences go out to him. Ozzy, you will be missed. Your family. My hearts and prayers go out to you. Just football phenomenon. Played collegiate. Played semi-pro. Became a teacher and a coach. And so it's just really just like, man, it's sad. But I know that, well, I'm hoping that he's in a better place. And like I said, my condolences go out to him. So just want to start off with that shout out. And then I'm well outside of that. It's like, I called my mom and I talked to her about it when I found out the news. And she was just like, well, how you get older, because she goes to all of her high school graduation. I mean, not graduations. What do you call those? Reunions.
Never. But anyway.
She goes to all of her high school. They do one, actually. So, I don't want to date my mom. But there's a certain, like, decade of classes that do one every year from her school. And she falls in that decade. She's
1950s.
No, she's
60s.
not that. She didn't graduate in the 50s. She's not. I'm not going to date her. But so that particular decade of classes, they do one reunion all together. So it's like really, 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 really big. And they do it every year. So she goes every year because she's just always talking about you just never know when you're going to see people again and you get older. But I get it. And she was very helpful. And so that was cool. I mean, I'm not gonna say like I'm like befuddled or just like in a disarray about it. I haven't talked to him in multiple years at this point. It was just disheartening to hear, another young black man who was seemingly doing well in his community. A life that seems lost too soon. So,
my condolences to his family as well.
Yes, but outside of that, I'm well. I took a nap before he got here, a nice 30-minute nap because I was very tired.
I taught you well.
Yeah, 30-minute naps have really been creeping into my everyday routine.
They make the world go round.
Like, lately, I will, if I have a break in between meetings and I know that I can probably finagle not having to do any work just for 25 or 30 minutes, I'm going to just take a nap. So, I took a nap, which felt really good. I was very tired. I did a lot. I've been working, and then I've been trying to get stuff together. So, my birthday is this week, as you know. And I'm doing like a last minute trip. It's been, I don't even know, man.
Hey Siri, remind me Kristen's birthday is this week.
Wow, they raggedy rags on rags. Never rags to riches. Anywho.
Oh, it's already on the calendar, so I would have remembered. Oh, girl, it's in like 2 days.
It is. And I did not officially get everything together until last night. Because it's been a whirlwind of a year. It's been a very, I'm been very grateful this year. This year has been very good to me in a lot of ways. And a lot of times when we hear that, we think financial gain or weight loss or different things. But mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, in every way you can imagine wanting to grow and stretch yourself, I've been able to do this year. So with that comes a lot of taxing labor and work. But so I just kind of was just I don't know. I mean, I guess what I'll say is I've been fortunate enough to, for majority, thinking about my past birthdays, probably majority of my adult life, I've had people who care about me plan my birthdays. I have planned things for myself, like trips and dinners and stuff like that. But this year kind of came around and I was just really super tired. I just really didn't feel like thinking about it. There were so many other things on my mind that I was thinking about that need to get into place, that need to be planned, that I need to take action on. It was just the weeks just kept on coming and coming and coming. And I was just I really don't even know what I want. People were asking me, oh, what do you want for your birthday? What do you want to do? And all. And I was I really don't know. I had a million ideas of things that I've wanted to do throughout the year or throughout time, but I just couldn't formulate an idea until I went for a run. Well, I planned on going somewhere, and then I went for a run, and I was just talking to the guy, and I was just what do I really want to do? I can't really figure out what I want to do. And he was just you just want to be in some solitude. And I was just you know me so well. You're right. Because, for the past few months, my situation has been where I haven't been able to recharge myself alone. I've been around people constantly, nonstop for months on end, which is cool because I do love being around people and I really love being energetic and things like that. But I kind of liken myself to solar panels a little bit. So when people think about solar panels, they think about, okay, they use the light to create energy and charge homes and stuff like that, which is cool. But what a lot of people don't consider is how they recharge themselves. And so at night, what they do is they emit this like really exorbitant heat into the atmosphere that's so hot that it makes the atmosphere hotter than itself, which enables it to cool itself off. So it's almost like a boomerang, that effect that happens. So that's how they're able to cool themselves off. So in my mind, I'm just like, I haven't had my night. Like, I haven't had my nighttime to actually like recharge. Because you know, I used to spend a lot of time by myself. Right. I love being by myself. I love being around people, but I also love being by myself, and I just haven't had that time. So right. I decided to take a nice solo trip into the woods, into the mountains. I found this really beautiful cabin that's like in the middle of a garden, in the middle of a mountain. And by the time you all hear this, I mean, it doesn't really matter. You won't know what mountain I'm in anyway. So you won't even have any idea how to pinpoint me.
So the good thing is, like, oh no, I wasn't making that face because of that, but I was making that face because I literally just watched the movie like 2 days ago about a girl who went on a solo trip to recharge herself in the mountain with a cabin, and she didn't die, like, but I'm not gonna say she had a good time. But you'll be fine. You'll be good. You'll be great. You'll have don't accept that. You don't take that energy. It's just circumstantial. I was like, wow, I just watched a movie with this exact same plot. I'm gonna be very well.
If at best several people have my location. If at best, I'll be very fine. This is gonna be my first solo trip, and I've gone way further by myself.
You'll be all right.
So I'll be.
Let's lock the doors.
I'll be great. I've got the blood of Jesus on my side. I don't fear anything. So.
Is that the name of your gun? Because you might need.
That's my. What did Medea call her gun? Peace Be Still. That's my name. My gun. I got my Peace Be Still, aka my shank that I keep on myself.
But no, you have a great time.
I'm excited. I'm not scared at all. So I probably will watch. I mean,
it was an awful movie. I'm not
what
even
movie was it?
I'm not even going to say the name of it because it's.
Was it the lady who was hard of hearing?
No, that was actually a decent movie, and that movie's called Hush. It's on Netflix. Recommend watching it. The movie I watched is
not worth it.
No, traumatizing. It was very traumatizing. So yeah, you have a great time though.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a good time. Maybe we'll do dinner. I've been thinking, no pressure, but I know my friends would love to celebrate with me as well. So depending on the schedule this weekend, maybe dinner sometime later this week.
Cool.
Or next week. Who knows? But yep, outside
well,
of
happy
that,
early birthday to you.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, Miss Diana is not singing happy birthday to us.
She also apparently isn't singing on Lionel Richie's stages either, because he said he's been asking her to come sing on his stage for 37 years, and it's always been no, and it pissed him off. And I felt that pissed him off. I felt it. He said it pisses me off. So, yeah, so last 7 days have been good. My niece got into the honors program. My oldest niece, super proud of her. She's just like me. And I'm not saying that I take credit for that. My sister said the same thing. So thank you. Yep. And outside of that, I'm taking naps. How are you? How are your last? I haven't seen you since before you got sick.
So last week I was sick. And this week I'm not sick. No, but honestly, what's really been going on in my life over here is I randomly got back into the dating pool. So we're going to skip past that anyway.
Wow. A little teaser. We'll see.
But really what's been having a chokehold on me is this video game I've been playing called Baldur's Gate 3. So I'm a big old nerd. If you haven't caught on yet, you probably should have caught on by now. So Baldur's Gate is essentially as close to Dungeons and Dragons as you're going to get on a video game. But it's like super in depth. Like you build a character and all this stuff, and you get to interact with the world, and like the stuff you do, the stuff you do does matter. Like you can pretty much like kill anybody you want to, or like befriend anybody, or rob people, or go on adventures and stuff, and it actually like affects the world or whatever. Like there was this one thing I did. I think I either robbed or killed someone because I got caught doing it. I didn't mean to. It was something I had to do because he had something I needed. But he's also the bad guy, so like whatever.
Don't try to convince me you feel bad about it. I've seen you do worse on GTA.
I didn't feel bad. So anyway, I got caught killing this person, and then like hours later, it came back and it was like, hey, your old boy who killed old boy from like
Not the
forever
gang rolled
ago.
up.
So it's a very in-depth game. I really enjoy it. Right now I am playing a Dragonborn wizard. I'm such a fucking nerd. But I love it. It's so much fun. It's like it's not a slow game. But it's more of a strategic game. So it is a nice little like, just let the whole world around me just like disappear, and I'm just like focused on this game and having a good old time.
Because Dungeons and I've never played, but I've been like around people who play. That could be kind of an elongated game.
Oh, it can
like,
be forever
it's not
long.
Quick.
I'm actually playing online with some friends. We have a campaign going on Baldur's Gate because you can play with friends online too. So I think we played like 16 hours over the weekend. So that's really been having me in a chokehold. Like I said earlier before we were on the podcast, nothing's getting done. Ain't been DJing. Ain't been.
Sometimes
Loki's been looking at me like, what the fuck? Like, I thought, like, why don't you love me anymore? Like,
he gonna take control.
he gonna rip the controller out of my hands. I promise you. Like, I just have been focused on this game. Like, any chance I get to play this game, I play this game. Like on breaks, I play this game. Lunch, I'm playing this game.
Just
I
like
wake up, I'm playing the game. Before I clock in, during work, after work, it's bad. It's like a drug. So until they make what I said the last time, until they make meth safe enough for me to try, this will be my meth.
Or crack.
It's crack,
I think
whatever
it may
the
have been
one.
crack.
So whenever they make crack, safe for consumption, I guess this will be my temporary crack.
Well, it's not safe, but that, my friend, is what you call an opioid. But still not safe. But at least you won't get the same. Well, you're black, so you may.
Yeah.
So I say you may not get the same persecution because what they did for the opioid crisis was not the same with what they did for the crack crisis.
You know what's crazy? I was at the gym the other day, mind you where I live right now. I'm in the middle of bumblefuck country fuck nowhere, Redneckaville. This man was wearing a Ronald Reagan t-shirt.
Oh!
And I'm like, sir, first off, you're like 20. Who the fuck? What do you know about Ronald Reagan?
That's his grandfather's shirt. I'm sure of it.
Gotta be. It said Reagan, whatever year he was voted in or whatever. Something. I was just like, Reagan? Like, what the hell? Do you even know? What? That's crazy. Actually, it said Reagan Bush. Did Reagan and Bush like run together? Okay.
Bush
Senior, yeah. Okay, I didn't know that. Huh. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so that kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, Reagan? Really? Like the worst president? Well, our second worst president.
There are so many presidents. As I say, there are so many presidents in the United States. It's just, but you just start to think about it like, I wouldn't say I'm a history buff, but I do come across history facts and just knowing a lot about different cultures and stuff. It's just crazy everywhere. Like I was listening to someone the other day. I don't remember the name of the podcast, but they were talking about how the Olympics, which was I guess last 2 years ago, they're watching the Olympics and they realized that China still had an emperor, and they were like, "Oh my god, like why are you still so like in prehistoric times? Like you have an emperor." But then I was like, "But you're in the UK and you have a queen. It's the same thing."
Had a queen.
A king now. You have a king now.
Exactly.
I mean, you still have a monarch. It's the same thing. And next time, I'm not gonna say that. Yes, past. Woo! It kind of took me back a little bit. Had a queen, you now have a king. Monarchy. You have a monarchy. We're not laughing at deaf people, but woo-wee. I'm just Twitter. You know what? This is why, even though Elon Musty is getting on this app and desecrating all over the seeds we have planted over the last decade or so, multiple decades at this point, onto this soil, and change his name. This is why I can't get off of it, because in my mind, I'm thinking back to all the tweets when the queen died.
The queen's dead. Beyonce? No, girl. Latifah? No, girl. Rihanna?
No. England? Adele?
Oprah? Tracee Ellis Ross? Diana Ross? No, girl. The Queen of England. Who?
Adele?
Ooh, we have a problem.
Yo, we can't take nothing serious.
Nothing seriously.
Not nothing.
Anytime something tragic happens, I just go to TikTok. Like yesterday, here's how I know our generation, or at least like I'm like half millennial, half Gen Z. I'm literally like the last year of millennial, but the first year of Gen Z. So anyway, I'm a mixture of both. Because I'd be looking at some younger Gen Z and I'd be thinking like, what the fuck?
TikTok
but then I also
weird.
be looking at like some millennials. I'd be like, what the fuck? So I'm in the middle somewhere. But the way I know we can never take anything seriously is because I was on TikTok yesterday. Yesterday was the 22nd. Yeah, 22nd anniversary of 9/11, I believe.
Oh yeah, 2001, I think.
But fucking memes everywhere.
About
9/11.
Good memes? Funny memes? Or like...
I ain't gonna hold you. I chuckled. I laughed. I laughed once. I didn't mean to. It kind of slipped out.
It ain't worse than that movie they made after the fact and reenacted it. I can't remember the name of it.
Listen, I was in New York during that time. Thankfully, I didn't lose anybody, but you know, my heart goes out to people who did lose people that day. But I ain't gonna hold you. That meme made me giggle, and I was like, I'm part of the problem.
We can't take anything. I mean, look at what they did with Oppenheimer. That meme of that old lady kneeling down the prairie talking about people in the theater watching Barbie with Oppenheimer on the side.
We can't take nothing seriously.
I mean, it's a coping mechanism.
We're all
sadly,
stressed.
But yeah,
we're all mentally stressed.
It's too much. It's too much content out there now. Like, it's like I remember being in the age where there were just like a few memes or a few GIFs, however you want to pronounce it, that you would rotate and you would use those for everything. And now they're just hundreds of thousands, millions probably at this point.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Shout out to Vine. So I'm glad you're feeling better. You're looking good. It looks like you dropped a few pounds from the illness.
I was like unwillingly. But yeah, I guess I had to drop a few pounds, all the water weight I had in my body. But yeah, we're back. And as Kristen mentioned last week, we have quite a few new things for us on our ballot today.
Yes. So we have a few new things for you. Mickey and I came together and put our two gigantic brains together to take over the world, and we created some new segments that we think are going to be awesome, and so we hope that you find them as fun and helpful and entertaining as we do. So starting this week, Mickey's going to be hitting us with a friendship fun fact every week. I probably won't be privy to it, so I'll be learning it with you all every week. So take it away, Penny. Yeah.
So, I have a question. When you think about animal friends, what comes to mind for you?
Animal friends?
Like, yeah, what is the first thing that
like if a monkey and a giraffe were friends?
No, like if a human had an animal friend, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
If a human had an animal friend, the first thing that is going to come to mind for me is either going to be a cat or a dog.
Well, not Robin fucking Williams. Robin Williams met Coco the gorilla in 2001.
Okay.
And quickly established a very close friendship. Coco the gorilla wasn't any other just regular gorilla. She lived at the Gorilla Foundation in Woodside, California. I don't remember, like, I didn't really see when she was put there, but long story short, she was a very smart gorilla. They taught her American Sign Language, ASL for short. Which is also, funny enough, something Robin Williams was relatively, versed in. So, Robin Williams had visited the foundation in 2001, again, where Coco lived. Wow. During the encounter, Coco and Robin pretty much immediately engaged in playful and affectionate, stuff. They were hugging, they were laughing, they were tickling each other, they were making faces, and listen, Robin Williams... special place in my heart. Yeah. I love that man. He was my Winnie the Pooh. He was my what's that movie called with the kids and the writing? They be the poetry. I'm not talking about Seize the Day. Captain Hook? Captain Hook. No, girl. No. Well, he was also in that, yes, but what is that movie called? It's fine.
What are you talking about? I felt like I knew most of his films, but I'm not familiar with what film you're talking about. But I definitely get where you're going. Robin Williams will forever have a place in my heart.
We gonna cut that part out, huh? Because I don't remember.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna bother me.
Robbie Williams. Yeah. Yeah. Well, was he a Dead Poet Society?
That's it. Dead Poet Society. Yes, he was in Dead Poet Society. That was the movie I was talking about.
I forgot he was. I know I shouldn't
That's
have,
where
but I forgot
Seize the Day came from.
I forgot. Because we are the people in Black. He was walking around
Right.
and we seize the day. We are the architects of.
So I'm gonna pull it back. So.
Yeah.
So Robin Williams had visited the foundation, the Gorilla Foundation in Woodside, California again in 2001, where he met Coco. During their encounter, it was pretty much like an immediate connection. They were very playful and very affectionate with each other, like giving each other hugs, tickling each other, making faces, and all of this was captured on video. So you actually can go online, look up Coco the Gorilla and Robin Williams. There's actually videos of them interacting on YouTube. That. Very cute, super cute. And again,
this was a full-grown gorilla.
Based on the videos I saw, like she was a decent size. I mean, she may not have been like a full-blown adult, but she was a decent size. Like probably could kill him if she wanted to. So their bond was actually illustrated for the capacity for humans and great apes to have relationships in the future. Like that was kind of like there were studies around it, but they definitely use it as a way to like research like the connection between us and other animals, whatever the case may be. Again, Coco's ability to use sign language gave her the ability to communicate her feelings and her emotions as well as her thoughts. And reportedly, at one point when Robin Williams was not around, she actually asked her like staff people for Robin Williams to come visit her. Like she signed, "Can Robin come visit?"
Wow.
Quite interesting, yes. But their friendship was so deep that unfortunately when Robin Williams did pass, Coco actually developed signs of depression and sadness and grief and things like that.
Wow.
So shortly after, his passing, they had like a little memorial with Coco. And during the time she, expressed that she was feeling upset and things like that. So that is my friendship fun fact of the day. Of course, leave it to Robin Williams to befriend an animal. Shout out to him. May you rest in peace, you wonderful king. Robin Williams touched the souls of a lot of people in my age range. A lot of age ranges, really. Like Winnie the Pooh, The Dead Poet Society,
Captain Hook, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Ooh, love Mrs. Doubtfire. Help is on the way. So yeah, shout out to Robin Williams. I don't know if Coco's still alive. I didn't really look into it, but I thought that was a really heartwarming story.
That is. That's super cute. Reminds me of Bubbles and Michael Jackson.
He did have a monkey, didn't he?
He did. It was a monkey though. It wasn't you said a gorilla or an ape?
She was a great ape. She was a gorilla.
Okay, yeah. Which is what makes it so interesting to me because those are big. I mean, Bubbles did get bigger because I think he got Bubbles when Bubbles was a very small baby. But a gorilla, when I think about a gorilla, I think of like 3 times my size, maybe bigger. So that's super.
Oh yeah, I looked up the gorilla. That's a big ass gorilla.
Yeah, it's very interesting to know that they had that kind of relationship, and even that it was used for research to study how. Oh my gosh! There's a big gorilla. I just showed us a picture of it. Yeah, if you get a chance, look it up. I'm probably gonna look up the research that came from that. That's pretty cool. Thank you for the fun fact. We gotta get a sound effect for our fun fact. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Next, we will talk a little bit, and we usually do this anyway, but we decided to go ahead and make it a segment. We usually do shout outs for anybody doing great things, but oftentimes Black people doing great things, and things that are relevant to friendship and pop culture. So this week we have Coco Gauff.
Come on, Coco's. Come on, Coco Squared this week.
Okay, Coco Puffs, girl. You won your first.
Okay, Coco Canal.
You won your first U.S. Open, girl. Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah, I'm gonna say first because I don't believe this is gonna be her last. So shout out to you. You did so well. I was able to watch the entire match or tournament, I should say, with my family. Really made me miss the sport of tennis. I had my mother in my ear telling me how I could have made her a millionaire, but she wanted me to go to Mississippi State on a tennis scholarship. First of all, my heart wasn't in it like these people who are great and put their all into it. And secondly, I didn't want to go down there and get hung. So I decided not to. And I think I made hump back, Mississippi pride,
You know, speaking of tennis, so here's a fun fact for you about me. I was the tennis captain in my senior year of high school, which is crazy because I was not good at tennis. The reason I was the tennis captain was because I was the oldest person on the tennis team. I think I was the only senior male playing that year. So they were like, just give it to him. I don't really know. I also think it sounds like I was like likable or something like that.
That could be it. I mean, yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't think I won a single. No, I won one match in my entire tennis career. Playing tennis is hard when you're tall.
I can imagine. I mean, yeah, agile. You got to be quick. I can imagine that.
I can't get low to the ground like that.
I mean, I don't know a lot of male tennis players that are over like 6 feet, maybe 6'1" at the tallest. So that's pretty tall. I played tennis. I started playing tennis when I was 6 years old. I started playing tennis with my dad. I still have his original tennis racket to this day. I love the game. To this day, I loved playing. I played all through grade school, middle school, high school. I did become captain in 10th grade. I was captain 10th, 11th, and 12th. And then I went and played a little bit on the collegiate level. I did not go, as I mentioned, to Mississippi State because I did not want to get hung. But I did play in my alma mater. Shout out to you, JSU. And it was fun. I enjoy the sport. I love it. It's kind of like that. And you can say this for any sport, right? Like, you feel like you're down and there's no coming back. Like when you watch those like really high energy football games and basketball games and soccer games, and it's like, man, they're down by like 20 in the fourth quarter. How they gonna do? It's kind of like that, but on steroids for me, because people really be counting you out. You be like 4 matches down, and they like, how is this person gonna turn this around? How they gonna come back? Because if you were watching the tournament, Coco was down like a solid 3-4 sets. And she just like turned it around town and like brought her A game. Didn't give up, because it's so easy to give up when you're like feeling like you're that in depth into it, and you're just like, well, how do I turn this around? It's like, I'm just so far gone. The hole is so deep down. How do I climb out of it? But she brought herself back up. So shout out to her. I definitely feel inspired by you, girl. I may start playing again recreationally. I found a couple of like business women leagues here in the city that I could probably join and play a little bit. My mom said she would get back out there with me. Unfortunately, my dad is no longer here, so I can't play with him. But she said she would get back out there with me and play. So maybe be something that I'm looking into picking back up in the fall before it gets too cold. So outside of that, this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with friendship, but I saw this, and I'm wondering if you saw it too. There was a woman who decided to, I guess you could say seemingly unprovoked, come on Michael Jackson's internet and tell us that she still breastfeeds her husband.
Still?
Well, she breastfeeds him. So she had children, and she's continuing to keep her milk supply because she now breastfeeds her husband. And she's been breastfeeding him for a very long time now. So I thought,
I did not hear about this.
Yeah.
I mean, go off, queen. Do you, girl? Your body, your rules.
I don't know much about breastfeeding, seeing as how I've never had to do it yet, or I haven't had to do it yet. I'm really just convinced that a lot of y'all coffins are going to be feather light because you refuse to take anything to the grave.
Gotta be.
Gotta
be. Y'all be floating around here.
For me, it's like, I get it. we are in an age of I am who I am, and you can't shame me and different things like that. And yes, prejudice and racism and discrimination and unjust activities happen every day. We know this. But we have to stop categorizing correction as policing or correction as judgment. Nobody on Blue Ivy's internet needed to know that you breastfeed your husband. Not a single soul.
Not a single one. I remember when we had secrets. That was so nice.
Exactly. There has to be a level of like, and it don't even have, when you hear the term secret, you think shame and stuff like that, and that's not necessarily what I'm saying, because you should never walk in shame. Don't ever let.
Some of you should walk in shame.
No, I mean there is a I will say there's a healthy level. There is a healthy level. Well,
there needs to be more shame. We need public shaming.
For me,
that's what we need.
Not the scarlet letter. For me, that would equate to like a healthy level of conviction, but there is a healthy level of shame that people should have to like when you don't have that. There's no line, nope. And when there's no line, there's just habitual like stepping.
No coup.
Till we step off for the flat earthers. Till we step off the earth. It's just too much. It's just too much. When I read that, nobody needed to know that, girl.
Nobody. But again, go off, girl. Like, do you? I don't care. Like, listen. Freaking the streets. Oh, I'm sorry. Freaking the sheets.
It's not for sexual pleasure, though.
Oh, it's just for food? For him to
It's
eat?
for nutrition, no value. She said it made their bond stronger. Because, okay, what I do know about breastfeeding is that it does nurture the bond between a mother and a baby. It's very high in nutrients for babies. I've never looked at what it does to adults because from my understanding, it was only supposed to be for children. And it's not a pleasurable act. There's latching that happens when you breastfeed.
We can really stop right there.
Yeah, so it's not like they're doing this for freaky kinky. I don't even know how she's serving it to him. She could be squirting it out like a cow. I don't know. I mean, it just really
utters, bitch, please.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. When you put the idea in my head, now my mind is like, well, how are you putting it into a bottle? Are you squirting it out? Are you just like
it's
a
taking
catch and
a
go?
rolling pin to it?
You know how you try to catch, you know how you try to catch popcorn? Are you like, I got like, is that what's happening?
Bring secrets back.
Nobody needed to know it.
Bring it back.
I didn't need to be thinking about this, and you didn't need to be knowing. You didn't need to bring it to our attention.
Have some shame,
girl. I don't know, but I just thought that was very, very funny and interesting. So I just wanted to highlight that in our segment today.
That's crazy. So, well, like I said, girl, go off. I mean, that's fine. I don't need to get into it. Now my mind's going.
Exactly. You see? I'm like,
I need to sue her for emotional damages because I didn't need to know that information. Like,
and I know I'm not the only one. Thinking it, so that's why I said I'm so convinced that y'all just want to be buried in paper bags and like flown into the sky like what do you call those, a lantern when they do the candlelight lanterns.
I will live in my truth.
I'm gonna live in my truth, and girl, you know what, you did it, and 100%. Now here we are talking about it. So kudos to you, girl. I don't know what else to say. That's all I got. That's all I got for this. That's all I got for this. Moving on. So, as you all know, we like to do our discussions every week, because Mickey and I, we have similar ideas, but varying ideas. And it's always a very insightful conversation, I would say, in my book. I like to learn. I feel like I learn from you a little bit every week. Even though we are friends, I still learn a little bit more about you and what you think.
Yeah.
So, this week we are going to be discussing opposite sex friendships and just kind of like if there are any differences, if we feel like we can relate to our same sex friends differently than our opposite sex friends, or even better, worse, etc. So, I'm just gonna kick it off, Mickey. Do you know how many like friendships of the opposite sex you have, like offhand?
A lot.
I'm asking you this question. I don't even know. I don't even know my own answer.
I don't have a specific number, but I would say a solid 40 to probably even 60% of my relationships are of separate gender for friendships. Mind you, I'm homosexual. So my ratio will be a little bit different. I mean, everyone's ratio will be a little bit different, of course. But me specifically, I would say most of my friendships are with females, but I do have a good subset of friends who are also men. It's kind of always been that way, and I think about it throughout my entire life. I've always kind of leaned more towards the girls.
The girls. Can you remember what gender your first friendship was?
My very first friendship that I can think of. Actually, there's two friendships that come to my mind, and I don't remember which one started first. They might have started right around the same time, but there were one was with a guy, one was with a girl, so it was a mix. Shout out to you both. I think one of you's like a drug dealer now, and I think one of you has like a wife. Plot twist is the girl who has the wife. The girl has a wife. So I had a crush on her when we were younger too. People used to think we were gonna like get married and stuff.
You would be a nice little stay-at-home drug mommy.
Okay, her has been, but I'm spoken for her.
Oh yeah,
I have a hive. But anyway, but yeah. So I guess the first one that comes to my mind that I can remember. I'm sure I had like other friends when I was like a baby or something. You know, the little like tiny friends probably never remember hanging out with.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, the first one you can remember
right.
For sure.
But the ones I can remember, yeah, definitely two of them come to mind, and they were two different genders. How about you?
Thinking about it now, my ratio definitely isn't as high as yours, but I would say it's probably 30-70 maybe.
30% on the girl?
30% male friendships and 70% female friendships. I'm just trying to take a quick Rolodex. Yeah, I would say it's like a 70-30 split between my friendships right now. My very first friend actually was a boy. He lived across the street from my house. And he was around my age. And his sister was around my sister's age. So they would hang out and subsequently, I was going to be with them at the same house because a lot of times she was unctioned to watch me.
Right.
While my parents were at work. So we just grew a bond, grew a friendship. I was his friend. Like, he was my best friend for a long time. And then his family moved away. And we never talked again because this was before cell phones.
That was like the worst feeling though when you were
younger. It was so
before
bad.
That happened to me when I moved down here from New York. I had to say bye to one of the friends I was talking about just now. He lived literally like right next to me, like my house, his house. So we always hung out and stuff like that. And the day I had to leave, it was like the picturesque, like sad movie ending where like my parents are in the car is on. They're putting the last bag in the car and the dog's in the back and I'm just sobbing my eyes out because I'm like losing my best friend and you know, he's crying, we're both crying, and I get in the car and you know, you turn around, you look through the glass and you put your hand up and you're just so yeah,
it's so sad.
It's awful. Thank God cell phones exist now.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Listen to our long distance friendship episode for tips on how to have long distance friendships. One of our first episodes.
Ow, you better plug her. Yeah, I can remember that, and even before that, I would say, and a lot of people say this, that your first friends are like your sisters or your siblings.
Absolutely,
I should say,
fucking not,
or your cousins. And I will say, even before that. I had two distinct cousins, a female and a male, around my same age. And we were like super close. Like we would always be together, always spend the night at each other's houses, always do things on the weekend. Always just like, we were like a trio. Like right. We all just be together all the time. We just loved each other. And then my friend there, the sadness of watching him go away. And then my next friend after that was a female. or a woman, I should say. And yeah, I just remember that friendship being so like fun. Like, not to say none of my other friendships aren't fun or anything. I'm not saying anything like that. But I'm just thinking, like, when you see kids, a lot of times when you see children interact with the opposite gender, they're either like beating each other up, like the guy's like pushing the girl into the sand, or like, ew, no girls allowed, or like girls only, or you got cooties, or just different things like that. So I just remember it being like, and I do distinctly remember one situation where we were all riding our bikes, and so because I was his best friend, he was my best friend, I didn't have a lot of other like female friends in that neighborhood. So when we would like ride our bikes in the neighborhood, you know, because your mom told you not to go off that street.
Right.
And so guess who didn't go off that street? Me.
Period. In the house before the sun went
so
down.
riding up and down the street, there were a lot of other kids or I guess I should say of other guys who were around my age that lived in the area. So he would like go visit other friends that he had, and it was one time where the guy was like, ew, like, why are you bringing a girl? And he was like, yo, like, chill out, like, it's fine, like, she's cool.
He had
like,
a little crash, maybe. But, yeah.
And we could talk about that in another conversation, because that whole perpetual, like, ideology that if a guy likes you, he's going to treat you bad from the beginning. Girl, no. Go watch He's Just Not That Into You. Period.
Tragic. Yeah, looking back on those childhoods too, especially the ones with females. I mean, mind you, again, homosexual, so my experience is a little bit different. They were always very friendly, it was a little more comfortable, but like, I think it's easy for me to have friendships on both sides because like when it comes to girls, there's already like a lack of that possible whatever notion that like, oh, we're opposite genders, I'm going to fall for you, you're going to fall for me, or blah, blah, blah. It can't be strictly platonic, which I think is fucking dumb. It's definitely possible. Or who am I to say it's possible? Never been in that particular situation.
It's possible.
I believe it's possible, but you know, men will act like it's so hard to be in a room with a girl. Okay. But anyway,
we're going to talk about that.
I believe it's possible. But anyway, so immediately that pressure just already disappeared. Because I'm like, listen, girl, I don't want to touch you with a 10-foot pole. And, you know, even if I have what you want, it's not going to work. And then with the guy side of things, like, I'm still very much into quote unquote masculine things, which is also really fucking dumb. There's no such thing as masculine and female things.
And even if you think about it from that aspect, you weren't sexually attracted. Like, you weren't.
Oh yeah, no,
I don't. They were your friends.
I'm not really into my.
So if we're gonna use that kind of like sexual,
gross, you know, gross, disgusting. Sorry,
that's not.
My
fair.
brain works in a weird way.
That's not fair.
I'm not saying they're gross. I'm just saying I have no interest in sleeping with my friends. My friends, as far as I know, are all like Ken and Barbie dolls. You guys don't have genitalia. Exactly. I don't want to see you naked. I've never wanted to see any of my friends naked. I've never slept with a friend. Never will sleep with a friend. We've talked about that before. No, I guess I did one time, and I was like, no, never again. But so yeah, over the years, I've kind of like my ratios change. Just kind of lean one way or the other depending on like what's going on in life or where I am physically or what's going on. I would say it tended to, once it like balanced out, it usually was more female than male, but there was still some good male friends. Like my best friend on the planet is a man, as far as I know. Again, as far as I know, he's a Ken doll, but I'm pretty sure he's a man. So yeah, in adulthood,
he identifies as a man.
He identifies as a man, yeah, sure. I identify him as like a brick wall, but anyway, I will say that as an adult, my circle of male friends has declined quicker than my circle of female friends.
Really?
And I want to talk about that because there has been but there has been a lot of conversations about adult men and their inability to maintain close friendships. There was like a study done last year, or maybe a year before that, where it was like, adult men in America are like the loneliest like demographic
Oh, I
or
think I may have
whatever the
seen
fuck the
that.
case may be. So I
Yeah.
was kind of curious what your opinions are on why it seems to be so difficult for men, especially as they start to age, to maintain those close friendships with each other. But females tend to have not so much an easier time, but they tend to hold on to their friendships a little bit tighter than, the opposite gender.
So I'm gonna do two parts to this because there is an identical twin to the men not being able to hold on to friendships in the same way of women. But I will start by saying that a lot of the research that I've done about friendship before, especially when it comes to gender, is that in the beginning and in a little bit into the 21st century, but it's kind of started to change. But starting in the beginning, a lot of friendships as far as female or women were concerned was that they were very open to be they were willing to be open with one another. They were willing to be intimate in the sense of share their thoughts, share their innermost, like not only hopes and aspirations, but fears and rejections with one another. Whereas men built camaraderie with one another based off of activity. So
Mhm.
there was a lot of research that talked about that. From what I've seen, I haven't done any research lately, but this was like, whatever, what I've seen in the past. And so I feel like a lot of the guys that I know do have friends, but I do also know guys who friendships have fallen off over time. They may like be like, oh, that's my bro, but they don't talk to them intimately. I think in any relationship, if you're unwilling to open up at a certain point, especially when someone's growing, if you're staying stagnant,
Mhm.
it's just gonna obliterate itself. It's like not gonna be able to, excuse me, sustain itself in a sense.
Mhm.
What I will say, the flip side to that for a woman is what I've seen of friendships out of convenience. And so women a lot of times will stay friends with women or other women I should say, that they may not necessarily really like
Mhm.
or agree with or like them as a person. From my understanding, men are very results driven. Like if they don't see progress, if they don't see anything, if they don't see like this is going anywhere, they're quick to be like, no. Like I don't have it's like for them, it's not about loyalty. It's like I'm gonna do what's best for myself.
Right.
So because I have to advance. Whereas women will put the time or the effort in, or even like stay in relationship with someone out of necessity because they have no one else.
Right.
So this is where you see the like, oh, all of these girls trips going left, and they're like, well, why are you going out of town or even out of the country with someone you didn't like to begin with? That's because they couldn't afford it
Right.
and they needed to break down the cost. So they were inviting girls to think that they were actually friends and they weren't actually friends to begin with. So I do feel like the male the males in my life who have friends who are still their friends to this day, and I'm saying to this day because as an adult it's very different than when you're a child or even growing up or coming of age as a friend. They are substantial in their life. They hold pillars.
Right.
They're like accountability partners. Everything that we've talked about in friendship. They're words of wisdom. They're sounding boards. They are confidants. They are, people you can also have fun with and have that camaraderie man to man with. And the same with the women in my life, I would say for sure.
Mhm.
But growing up, those are the disparities I saw. I would see guys like fall out and like come back together, and then I would see guys not come back together because this person felt like I ain't like that snake shit and I ain't gonna forget it. So
Right.
whereas a girl would be like, okay, well she did this snake shit, and so when her boyfriend flirt with me the next time, I'm gonna take him up on that offer, which is still snake shit, but it's just like an eye for eye kind of thing that was happening.
Right.
So yeah, I think for me that may be my opinion right now. That's a short-winded opinion. This is just like off the top of the dome. I'm just thinking like maybe for men who find themselves okay, so I'll say this. Going back to the point of men finding themselves the loneliest population in the world. Is that what you said that the
Not in the
researchers
world. I
told?
think it was
Or the
an American
U.S.?
study where,
Okay.
yeah, single men specifically, like older, not maybe I don't know if it was older per se, but adult single men
Like
are
adults.
a part
Okay.
of the loneliest demographic in America. And I was doing a little research on it, and I definitely think you hit the nail on the head with a lot of it, especially like the whole socialization thing from like a younger age. I can't think of many or any really not societies, but cultures that really emphasize like emotional expression, especially from the man's side. Like it's more like reserved,
Yeah.
quote unquote, for like the feminine, and females are meant to show their emotions, and men are supposed to like suck it up and
Yeah.
be self reliant and stuff like that. So there already is like a level of um disconnection with people around you already. If you
Yeah.
can't be connected with your own feelings, you probably really can't connect with
Absolutely
others.
not.
And I'm not saying that's like a blanket statement. Like not everyone applies that way. Like you were
Yeah.
saying, like these long-term friendships from like childhood or whatever the case may be, like they do start developing these deeper relationships, but that's over the course of many many years and stuff like that. I will say I also think what you said about the shared interest versus shared experience kind of thing is really important, because I do agree. A lot of my male friendships have been centered around a shared activity of some kind. May it be we both enjoy going to shows, or we both enjoy watching sports. I don't like watching sports. Just using an example. We both enjoy hunting. I don't enjoy hunting.
We like the Rihanna Bowl.
Right. Okay. So where females, on the other hand, like they're more sharing, they're more, connected over emotional or more deeper things. That's not just surface level,
Yeah.
like an activity of some kind. Because I think about it, whenever my male friendships tended to end, they usually ended because that shared activity that kept us together also ended.
Oh,
So I
wow,
was thinking
yeah.
about it. I was like, okay, either like, oh, I stopped doing this thing, or they stopped doing that thing, and like we just kind of grew apart, or, I'm not saying that's always 100% what happened. Like sometimes schedules change and people move on and move
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But I will say there was a pattern of like, if we weren't doing the thing that brought us together, that friendship kind of fizzled out. Where like my
There was
female
no
friends,
communication.
like
Yeah.
we've gone through, phases and, different stages on our relationship. Like sometimes we both enjoy doing the same thing. There's been times where like we've kind of been doing our own thing, but we've always had a chance to like come back and like kind of like pick up where we were before.
Would you say would you say in your relationships with females that there's still been like constant communication even though like activities may change or
That's another thing I was gonna say as far as communication goes, between the different genders. I will say that I and I think it could be more of like the nurturing part of like what just generally like what I was saying, society like
yeah.
raises females to be more like nurturing and more, motherly, quote unquote, whatever. So I think because they're putting like my female friends are putting more emphasis on communicating and keeping in contact and checking in and talking about, things like that. Versus my male friends, like yes, I still constitute a lot of my friends, like my male friends, my friends, of course, but like we can go months or whatever without talking. And
Yeah.
we'll just be here like, what's up, bro? You doing good? Yeah, I'm good. And that's like the extent of it. And I will say like, without that shared activity, sometimes finding time to hang out with, those kind of friends can be really difficult. And again, these sound like blanket statements. This could apply to like male or female,
Yeah,
obviously. But I
absolutely.
definitely
Because you
think
can
it
go
more so.
months without
Right.
talking as a female to a female for
Right.
sure.
But I definitely think it definitely applies more, at least in my specific situation, more towards the men's side of things. And I also would say it's kind of like how to put it properly. Like I'm trying to think of like the best way to explain it, like what I had in mind when I had said it, or when I had thought about it and read it, I should say. So I think there also is like different societal expectations when it comes to those different kind of relationships.
Oh
Like
yeah,
females is meant to be like
absolutely.
the sisterhood, and I got your back, sis, and we're the sisterhood of the traveling pants or whatever. And like while men, on the other hand, it's like okay, like how am I going to challenge you? How am I going to, make you grow? How am I
Mm-hmm.
how are we going to go into business together? Like, things like that, which I mean is cool.
Bill,
You want
bill, bill.
bill, pay bill, make the money, whatever, which
Mm-hmm.
that could be an American thing for sure. But, we don't
Yeah.
really put the expectation, quote unquote, to be the breadwinner on females. And we don't put the expectation on men to like, really foster those relationships. It's like, hey, go to work, get a wife, have some kids. That's it.
Well, let Twitter tell you, if you expect your man to pay all the bills here in America, you out of your mind.
Fucking
You
sus.
crazy.
Okay, crazy,
Like,
crazy.
'cause
Um, so speaking of the differences of men with men and female with female relationships, I was kind of curious. Do you think that do you think it's a stronger relationship between the same gender, or is it a stronger relationship when there's two people of opposite genders?
Okay. Oh, wow. I ok- I will say that I don't believe that is stronger either way all the time. There can be instances where you get information from one party that will help you or propel you into whatever you're trying to go. And I say that in the sense of there are things that my male friends will tell me about how males think because they know how males think. And so if I come to them and I'm like, hey, I'm in this situation and I've got XYZ going on, I really just need a male perspective of this. Oh, my girlfriend couldn't tell me this. She's going to tell me he hasn't called because his phone is dead. Or he hasn't called because he's taking his mother XYZ. But my male friend's going to tell me, like, he hasn't called because he doesn't want to call. Like, you just need to
Okay.
understand that. And I will have female friends who will say that. But I do think there's value in having both parties. Going back to the original question, there is strength in having a tribe of people like you. I'll say that.
Right.
So if you have like-minded women around you who can give you advice on where you're trying to go or what you're trying to do or who you're trying to be. And this is not just business or whatever, because you're going to encounter people outside of your circle who are going to be able to give you advice and do things that your circle has just never done before.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a strength in having like-minded people around you. I say that to say men, in my mind, I'm going to be honest, men and women don't think alike. They don't.
No.
And so I can't have my tribe be a tribe of men because they don't know what it's like to be a black woman. And I don't know what it's like to be a black man. I don't know what it's like to be a man, period. And they don't know what it's like to be a woman, period. So there are just going to be certain topics, certain everyday tactics and tribulations and just like trials I'm going to go through that they'll never understand.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't have a circle of people around me who do understand that, I don't have the support system that I'm going to necessarily need.
Right.
And so I do think there is strength in having one more so over the other, but I don't devalue one over the other, if that makes sense. Like, I know that sounds like an oxymoron a little bit, but they're both valuable in my eyes. Like, I can't, I've had male friends advise me on things and steer me in business ways and do different things that just my female friends just never thought of. I never thought of. And so it's just kind of like a wow, you don't see it till you see it type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
So even though again, just thinking about it, my friendship dynamic is just 30 to 70. So a majority of my friends are women. And I only have 30% of male friends. Those 30% hold a lot of weight in my life.
Right.
They are able to like guide me and tell me things and strategically be able to place me in the mind of a man sometimes when I need it. So, what do you think?
Um, I think it is very important to have people in your life who can relate to different parts of you.
Yeah.
So I will that to be a cop out answer, but as you were talking, it made me think about like how for a while I had a lot of the same looking friend, like same they all had the same traits, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't relate to like my blackness or like my
Yeah.
gayness or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be, or my northernness, whatever the case, whatever big parts about myself. Like, but as I grew up and I started making more friends, that kind of like tap those different social circles. It definitely like made those friendships a little bit more like deep. So between the two genders, I definitely think it is important to have people in your life who can literally put themselves in your shoes. I agree. I don't think men and female think the same. I'm not going to say they think wildly differently, but I'm not going to say they think the
they're
same.
just and if we were meant to be the same, we'd be the same.
Right.
Period.
So, I definitely think there is a difference, and I think it's important to have friends who can relate to that part of you. May you be male or female or somewhere in between, because we don't like to discriminate around here. In the same vein, I'd also think it is very important to have people in your circle who think differently than you, who can put you in a different perspective and, let you walk 10 feet in their shoe versus your own, perspective, for example. I think that's where a lot of friendship groups can kind of falter, become a little toxic, is when it's like all the same type of person who all have the same exact kind of background and they all think the exact same. It's kind of like, you're kind of like stagnating each other because you're not, exposing yourself to
Nobody's
different,
thinking
no one's thinking differently.
Nobody's
Right.
thinking, you need to think bigger, bitch.
Okay, think big, bitch.
Think too
So,
small.
I mean, I always advocate for doing a friendship check-in, whenever that feels right to you, maybe end of the year, randomly throughout the Tuesday, who fucking knows. But like just check in as far as like, are your friendships serving you? Like what purpose is it serving your life? And I'm not saying every friendship needs to, have this divine purpose. You can literally have a friend you go bowling with, and that's your relationship. That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
We talked about the 4 varieties of friendship last week.
Do you? I mean, like I said, not every friendship needs to be like, this is my divine buddy and we're going to change the world together.
Take me to the top of the world.
You could have a movie buddy and your whole thing is you watch movies together, and that's so be it. But, again, it is important to kind of check in and think like, okay, how are my friends helping me grow? How are my friends, showing up in my life? How am I showing up in their life? Like, am I just presenting a whole bunch of the same stuff they're presenting to me and, there's no growth? And were we able to challenge each other? Things like that.
And I think that's before you move on, I'm sorry. I think that's a great idea. And I know we do this. And maybe we'll start implementing this at some point. But to do friendship check-ins, because asking someone and hearing the answer could be different from what you think. So you saying like, oh, am I showing up for this person? Versus me asking them and they tell me how I'm showing up for them could be very much so different than what I think I'm showing up.
Actually, not, girl. Not even a little
oh,
bit.
girl.
You haven't showed up in the past forever.
Friendship pip.
Okay, performance improvement plan. But yeah, so I definitely think that friendships across genders can be a very nuanced and interesting topic. I do think it's incredibly interesting that adult men seem to struggle to maintain friendships for various different reasons. Some self-inflicted, some obviously not self-inflicted. But I am seeing, or we are seeing, kind of like a societal change as far as like men expressing themselves and going to therapy and being more open and being more vulnerable with each other, which I really love to see. Like, very excited for the generations after us to see what kind of compassion and empathy they can show each other, implying Earth isn't on fire.
Well, I mean, Earth is already doing her thing, but I think, we also have a little bit more insight into male friendships with men going to therapy and stuff. Because I will say, I grew up seeing a lot of male friendships. Like, my dad had really close male friends that he would hang out with. He had like a barbershop ritual thing where he would go, and that would be kind of like their time together with him and the guys, or they would come over and he had his little guy room and they would do, you know what I mean? And those men are, to this day, some of those men are still in my life as providers or confidants or on some kind of level father figures since my father has passed, because they felt like that was something that, I don't even want to use the term obligation, but they had the privilege of doing that because they were so close to my dad. So I've seen it from that category down. I will say I love that you brought up like having variations of friendship, because a lot of times we think about, oh, I should have friends that are different than me. I should have like friends who think differently than me, maybe friends of other nationalities or ethnicities or stuff, but we don't put gender into that, which is important. I feel like having friends of the opposite sex can be not only beneficial but life-changing for you. It could really make you grow. And this is not to say, I'm not saying that you have to have one over the other, because in my mind, and y'all may want to tussle about this, but the girls who tell you that they relate to the guys more, that's just a red flag for me. It's something you got some kind of like mom issue. It's something happening, mother wound. Like you don't relate to women. Why don't you relate to women more than you relate to a guy, unless you want to be a man?
If it's any consolation, I mean, mind you, I am a homosexual. I feel like I relate more to women sometimes.
I just don't. But you have your time with
guys.
Men are dumb.
But here's the thing. But here's the controversial thing. Here we go. Here we go. Now we can get into it.
Here we go. Let's go into it. Now we can get into it.
Here's the thing.
We talk
about the good part about these relationships. There's also a completely toxic side about
there is, and let me tell you where the toxic side initially comes from. One or more parties want more. You don't want to be a platonic friend.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the females who say like, "Oh, I can't have female friends," or the guys who say like, "Oh, I don't really mess around with the guys." I'm saying those kind of relationships.
That's what I'm saying. I just said that. It goes both ways. Yes, guys can be like, "I don't want to have guy friends. I don't trust men," and all this and that. There's a wound there.
Gotta be. I mean, there's a wound that's for everything, for sure.
Like that you don't want to trust this person who can relate to you more than I can. So vice versa. But I'm going to say this. The only time men and women cannot be friends is if one or more parties decides it can't be platonic. Because I'm going to remind you again, the term of platonic friendship, which is non-sexual, essentially. That's just the basis of it. So you can have intimacy, you can be open, you can have laughs, you can know each other, you can grow. That could be your confidant, your accountability partner. But the moment those kind of like factors of intimacy on a sexual level enter, it changes the relationship, whether you see it or not. So it's just, if someone doesn't want that, because I have had multiple guys, I will say, try to propose themselves as friends, and they wanted more, and that was like their plot, right? And I feel like every sex goes through this. Men, women, I feel like even animals probably go through this, where like, I'm gonna just try to pose as wanting to be your friend, and I'm kind of wanting more, and I'm just hoping that you'll see me for who I am and like how great I am, and we can be more. And when I see that, I'm like, no. I'll even be honest. One of my very, very close friends admitted to me that they wanted to be more than friends in the beginning.
Tragic.
And because I didn't like show interest, like they never made a move, but because I didn't show like any interest in like wanting to even take it there, they never made the move, and then they just moved into. And they're still a close friend to this day.
Okay, I have a question. How do you feel about this new age or whatever? I don't think it's new age. After I thought about it, I was like, that makes so much fucking sense. But how do you feel about this new concept that men specifically really doesn't like female company, but they like poom poom, but they don't like females? And I saw it on TikTok, and when I heard it, I was like, you know what? 2 + 2 is equal in tilapia, because that makes fucking sense, right? Because the way guys will disrespect women, talk bad shit about women, they don't want to hang around women. Oh, bitches just want my money. Oh, bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks. They ain't whatever. Like, But they will be so tight with their homie. They will be talking about, oh, I'm just going through A, B, C, and D, and yo, like, this is going on at home, or this is going on at work, or whatever. But then when your wife or your girlfriend or your friend, your whatever, is like, hey, honey, what's going on? Nothing. I'm fine. But you go to your homie and you out here sobbing.
Or you go home and you say, oh, those was just jokes. I was just joking with the boys.
Right. So I want to know what your opinion on that is, because I actually kind of agree to an extent. Of course, obviously, platonic relationships can exist between men and female, but I do think there is a small subset or a large subset of men who genuinely view females as just the provider / wife / the mother of my children / someone I hang out with occasionally, but I'd rather be with the boys, cracking a few cold ones, playing video games.
Do you really want to?
The only thing that my old boy ain't got is a poom poom, because if he did,
but
it would be a wrap.
But see, he could, and I'm gonna tell you something. If given the right circumstances and the right drugs, he still would bust his homeboy down. So I'm gonna tell you that.
Even without the right drugs,
like, so you can't even say, because I know old boy would still do it. I'm gonna tell you what I think. I think they have some type of sexual addiction. I think that they have something that's happening where they only see individuals as pleasure principles, and they can't see a person for who they are, male or female, whatever you want to call it. Especially women, though, because that's innately, I guess, what they are attracted to, if we're talking about heterosexual males. And so because this woman can provide that sexual gratification or that sexual satisfaction, they put up with it because it's an addiction and they need to be able to have it on call as much as possible. I'm going to also say that I feel like those guys that say things like that, either one, don't necessarily feel that way. They're just putting on because they're scared or shy little boys. Or two, I feel like they're probably saying that because they don't have enough men in their life, actual accountability partners, teaching them how to be men and how to be a partner. Because
some of your honesty is gay.
Some of them, that's why I said given the right circumstance.
I was like, some of y'all
given the right circumstance, he be busting you wide open over that countertop like a real nigga. So I'm not putting that past any of them, but I'm also going to say that like the same can be said for women who downplay or bash men, or like say men ain't shit, or just like have this mentality that there's no good person out there, no good man out there. Or they have to feel like they have to step on a man, or there's something that's happened in your life to make you feel like you have to assert this kind of like dominance. Like we need a sponsorship from BetterHelp, because I want to plug you right now. I want to plug you, BetterHelp. I also want to plug some other people, but I can't plug you because we don't have the sponsorship. But if you want to sponsor us, I would love to sponsor your therapy sessions, your therapeutic expertise on this podcast. But a lot of those people do just need therapy. They just need to work through why they feel this way, because if you want a sex doll, go get a sex doll. But see, there's shame that comes with a sex doll. You just want to have somebody on your arm. Okay, you want to have an actual real person there. But you also want a family. You want somebody who can like give you kids and like take care of your children. But you're going to talk about her like a dog in front of your friends, and then you're going to go home and eat her nachos and tell her these are the best nachos you ever had in your life and that she's the best woman you ever seen. Like, there's a problem with that. You got a personality disorder. You need to talk to somebody.
This entire podcast would just pretty much be like, go to therapy.
Like, you need to go.
Everyone
like, a lot of these people need to see someone who can help them through these issues, because I did see that too. I saw it on Twitter. I've seen it on Instagram too, where it's like, and now that I think about it, it's always kind of been like this ideology of like battle of the sexes. Like, you even think about it, MTV had a whole show called Battle of the Sexes. And I'm sure there were shows before that, like, that put us against each other,
Girl
that make
code,
us...
boy code,
yeah,
guy code, I'm not
yeah.
gonna lie. I love that show for some reason.
And Girl Code's funny. I found one of my favorite female comedians on there, but it's just like, why does that have to exist? Like, why do we have to be put against one another? If we
Someone's got to be put down.
And apparently, I guess
someone's got to. Someone has to be put down. If we're not all being put down, someone's gonna be put down.
I don't want. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it definitely is a lot of societal stuff. This entire episode, not entire episode, but a lot of what we talked about, I definitely think boils down to just the society we live in.
And the ideas
it's just
that
been
are perpetuated
throughout the multiple years of, whatever. Not even just American culture, just culture in general.
Culture
like I
in
said,
general,
made
for sure.
between like men supposed to be emotionless and strong, and female supposed to be the provider or whatever. Why? Actually, speaking of cultural stuff, now that I think about it, growing up, my father actually was one of those kind of people who was like, "Oh, you have so many female friends. Where are your guy friends at? You should be hanging out with your guys and whatever." Dad, meanwhile, I was trying to hang out with guys. Okay, like I was trying. Okay, but not for the reason you think. So, I don't know if females also have that same experience. If you have like a lot of male friends, I don't know if like certain parents are like, where are all your female friends? Like, why are here all these dudes or whatever? But also like in society, they have that perpetual idea of like if you're a female with a lot of male friends, like, oh, you're fast and like, why are you hanging out with all these men and that ain't good. That's not a good look. And then if a guy has a lot of female friends, it's like, okay, why are you with all? It's either like, why are you with all these girls? Like, where are your guy friends? Are like, okay, playa. Like, there's no just like healthy like, hey, this is my friend and we're just friends and I just like hanging out with them because we both like watching, I don't know, Justice League or something.
That's
like,
a societal thing though. They want to make every like male, female.
It's always got to be something.
It has to be sexual or kind of like more than just a platonic friendship.
Or you got to be, not into them and you're trying to be one of them.
But like I said, for me, it's a red flag if you just don't have any of the friends on the other side. Period. Like you're just like, oh, I just don't like.
Oh yeah, if you don't have some
like,
mix here and there, yeah, it's definitely.
How are you like getting? Yeah, how are you getting information on who you are as a person? It would be like me going to a bakery and wanting to be a baker, and I spend the majority of my time in the front of house with the barista. Yeah, I'm learning coffee and I'm learning all this, but I came here to be a baker. I actually want to learn like how to knead dough and do all these different things that they do in the back of the house as a baker. Why am I spending all this time in the front of house with the barista?
I need some more bread makers in your lives.
You need some more bread makers in your lives if this is what you're trying to do. Period. So, yeah, I guess friendship on opposite sexual gender level is, in my opinion, I would say it's necessary. I think you do need friends of both sexes. And I think it's ignorant to X one or the other out because of whatever preconceived notions you have. Now, you can be cautious and you can say, like, I don't want this to happen or I don't want that to happen. Whether it be you're a woman and you've been hurt by women before, so you don't want to let women in, so you're a little cautious about that. Or whether it be you're a woman and you've had a male friend, you've had multiple male friends who you felt like had ill intentions, because it does happen. But that is, and I'll say it again, I've said it before and I'll say it again, that is the gamble of the game. If you open yourself up to meeting people, there's a possibility that you could be hurt. It's not an easy thing to initially take in, but once you realize like you can have the control on how situations end, you may have opened yourself up in a sense to an individual who didn't turn out to be who they were. You can control how much that openness looks like to begin with. So you ain't got to open the whole door, boy or girl. You can just open yourself up just a little bit just to see what they're about. Everybody's actions will tell the test of time. I'm telling you, they can say whatever they want to. They can speak whatever words or language they want to. But if you watch what they do, I'm telling you, you will know who they are. So just do that and you'll be fine. And don't say somebody your platonic friend if you are sleeping with them and currently sleeping with them. And it's not a read. I just want you to know that's not your platonic friend. Y'all are more than friends because y'all love to say friends with benefits. No. Okay, that's not the same thing. That's not what we're talking about. So, just wanted to make that disclaimer. And that's my final thoughts. What about you, Mickey?
Final thoughts on this topic. Pretty much like what you said. Just surround yourself with people who can, give you different perspectives, maybe across gender lines, sexual orientation lines, color lines, whatever the case may be.
Color of friendship.
The color of friendship. yeah. But yeah, I don't really have any super closing final thoughts on this one. I think it's a very nuanced conversation. Probably one of our more nuanced conversations because there's so many things that go into it between culture and even religion and cultural backgrounds and your race and things like that. Black people friendships versus white people friendships are completely different. Or at least
it could even be generational. There are more. I would say more female or cross gender relationships happening now than there were.
Right. So it's a super nuanced conversation that we probably could keep going forever. But just broaden your horizons a little bit. And that's really all I got on you on that one.
Broaden your horizons. So we're gonna end with a friendship quote. This is something that I found interesting as I was kind of thinking about the relationships between men and women in the friendship realm. And this is by Anais Nin, who I think her first name was Angela. She was an author and just other things like that. But she says, each friend represents a world in us, a world possibly not born until they arrive. And it is only by this meeting that a new world is born. And so for me, sometimes y'all be talking about reaching for the galaxy and reaching for the stars. You ain't never going to see that unless you open up your world. The universe and the world is out there, and you'll never meet it. And some doors and some worlds will never be unlocked until you meet the individual who has the key.
I love that.
So, yep. That is the end of this episode of The Friendship University. You all know where to find us. It'll be in the description box below, but you can find us on our socials. That's at Funny Podcast. That's FUNIPODCST. That's on Twitter. That's on Instagram and on TikTok. I am doing my best to get on TikTok. TikTok is such a young person's game, and I know I'm not that old, but it's just so weird over there. Y'all niggas is weird. I'm just doing my best. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best to get on TikTok. I'm gonna make, you know what? I'm gonna say it on air as some accountability. We will have our first TikTok up by Halloween. That's in a month and a half. So we will have our first TikTok up before then. I'm just gonna hold myself accountable. Miki, please hold me accountable to that as well. And I say we because we're both gonna be in a TikTok. As nobody, we ain't gonna be doing individuals. You can also email us at friendshipuniversity@gmail.com. Emailing us. We're looking for friendship shout outs. We're looking for friendship letters, the juicy gossip. We want to get in y'all business, and if you want to do it anonymously, you want to read your girl online, you want to not let old buddy know that you're talking about him, that he did XYZ, but you just need to get off your chest, feel free to email us. We're always looking for suggestions as well. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next week. Peace.
Bye.
We be all night.